this is Ben Schwellen. Many of you over the course of this channel's history have said to me, hey Ben, why don't you make a video about the mutations in Welsh? The Welsh language has a mutation system, which makes it a bit different to most European languages. And so this video is about that. These are an essential part of all Celtic languages, including Welsh. And so this is what this video is going to be about. Now I've divided this video into 3 sections. 1, what changes, because I think there's a bit of confusion as to that, so I'm going to simplify that really simple for you. 2, how they change. And there's 3 simple ways that things change. And 3rd, the object, the subject, to show you when things are doing things or people are doing things, why and what changes. And I'm going to simplify that for you as basic as I can. So this is just to give you the core knowledge of Welsh mutations, not too much detail. Let's jump into the video now. First, what changes? There are a series of letters that you need to know. I'll put the number of letters here, which do change. I can't think of them off the top of my head because when you become fluent in Welsh, it just becomes so natural that you don't even think about it. And I think this is a difficult one for people who speak Welsh to explain to learners because it becomes so natural, and there's a reason why. It's because it's based upon a sound spectrum, and as I'll show you now at the green screen, it's very natural. Not all letters change. And what is a change? What is a mutation? It means the first letter of a word changes form to another letter. Like to for roof. After the word old, hendo. Old roof becomes da, hendo. Okay? Now, there are 3 groupings mainly in terms of sound that you need to remember. And these are simply coming from the letters C, P, T, K, P, T. And make that sound in the front of your mouth. K, P, T. It's toward the front. And each of these have a, what I call a pathway, in terms of they go down and what they change into sounds that are related to them on a spectrum. So, let's begin with K, the letter C. Always hard. Always. K. So K becomes G. G. And K becomes H. G. H. And from G, it can drop off entirely. G. Because G is not that pronounced, is it? So all of that's on a spectrum. K, G. Nothing. K, G. Okay, that's one path. And the next one is with P. P, B, V. But P also goes down into M. M. P, M. P, B. I put B and M at the same level there. M, B. And both M and B, M, B, can mutate into V sound. That F is a V sound. 2 F's is an F. Oh. 2 F's, F. 1 F, V. So Pumba, go back down into V. V. Okay? And then Ta, at the top, T, can go into an aspirate, a voiced, but the main path is T, D, V. T, the. Okay? So you see those three are clear pathways in terms of sound and where you put the air in your mouth. And all you really need to remember is that it begins with CPT. Kpta. Now there are a couple others, not very many. R, the RH becomes R. So that one's easy because it's got the R in it already. You just drop the H. Okay? And the other one's easy as well. Double L becomes one L. O. So both of those have the clue in them already. The main one you need to remember is Kpta. There are instances of longer kind of mutations. So G, as I said, can drop off. But it also becomes or but you'll get those as you go along. Also the D, which is in the T pathway. T to the N. It goes N to the N. Okay? You'll see as we go forward. So you know what letters change. How do they change then? There are three main ways in which things can change, or groupings to help you along. Treiglo meddal, soft mutation. Treiglo llais, aspirate mutation, though llais does not translate directly to aspirate. It's more of like a voiced mutation. And Treiglo truino, nasal mutation. Let's get into those now. As I said, there are three types of ways in which these change: soft, aspirate, and nasal. Let's begin with the soft, and this is the most frequent one in my opinion. You can't get away from it. If you're going to focus on one, focus on this one, because the clues to all the other ones are in this one as well. Welsh, like most Indo-European languages, is feminine and masculine. And women change form and shape over the course of their life cycles, and feminine words in Welsh change more often. So if a word is feminine, the adjectives or describing words after it will change depending upon their letters, if they're one of those letters that I mentioned. So cadair, the word for a chair, is feminine. So cadair wen, a white chair. If it had not mutated, it would be Gwen, and that G drops off. Cadair wen. One thing that I should note is that if you add on adjectives, they keep changing. So let's say the expensive, sturdy white chair. A gadair wen gadarn threed. If that had not mutated, it would be Gwen Cadarn Dreed. But the mutations carry on down like a trickle of a waterfall. I like how these mutations sound. And there are connecting words, quite a few that cause soft mutations. I'll just put them here because there's a lot of them. One that you need to focus on would be because there are two ways to use this, and the other one causes truino, nasal mutation. But this one I'm focusing here is soft. So, my hien geveilgar. She is friendly. Geveilgar becomes geveilgar. My rakien vlawog. Blawog becomes a vlawog. The dog is hairy, or furry rather. Marakien vlawog. Okay, and that is just presenting an adjective, presenting a state, but that can be used in a very different way. It can also mean in, and in that case, the mutation is different. Mae'n dda gen I. It's good with me. Mae'n dda. Instead of mae'n da, mae'n dda. Sometimes when describing words come before things or nouns, they will change. Like they'll give a soft mutation as well. So like you mentioned hen da, an old roof, or enig blenton, only child. Sometimes after numbers, dwy fiwch, 2 cows. There are a lot of connector words like this that you get a treiglad meddwl, a soft mutation from, like ne, the word for or. So, afal ne gig, an apple or meat. Otherwise would be afal ne cig, afal ne gig, an apple or meat. Ar hyd daith, along the journey, instead of ar hyd taith. Most words ending in AI or AIETH are feminine. Not all though. One important feature of the soft mutation is it takes place after you, in terms of your possession of something. Wyt ti'n mynd in dy gar di? Are you going in your car? Dy gar. Not dy car. And it happens after masculine possession, singular. I ddiod. His drink. I diod. I ddiod. Mae'n yfed I ddiod. He's drinking his drink. I gariad. His lover. I gariad. If it was a woman, I chariad. If it's them, I cariad. No mutation. So what about the aspirate one? This one kind of insinuates a sense of ownership in a way. Because if you have a woman, you'd say, and she had a dog, he, her dog. Because if it was a male, it would be igi. You see, these mutations tell you what gender things are, right? Or I font, her bridge. And you have this treiglad llais after the word and, which is quite important. Cymera I llenni a charpedi. I'll take the curtains and carpets. Carpedi, charpedi. And carpets, a charpedi. Ffoniwch I thad. Phone, her father. I thad. Not I tad. I thad. This treiglad llais is the only one or instance that creates the letter PH in Welsh. If a word begins with this, you know that a treiglad llais is going on. So, gyda farch, with respect. Parch, farch. The letter 3 causes this mutation. Trichant, 300. And you just have to learn each of these as you go. Though I'll put a book down below for you for that grammar if you want to go more into it. Gyda llaw. And there are not many instances in which you get this aspirate mutation. The main ones are to show female ownership of something and to connect the word and, gyda, a, and then the word after it. treigla trwyno, the nasal mutation. There are not many instances in which this is used, but I think it's the one that causes learners the greatest amount of difficulty. I mentioned the word in before, so in Cardiff, Nghaerdydd. Cardiff is Cardydd, it becomes Nghaerdydd. NGH. C changes to NGH. G changes to NG. Na I fod yn Gwynedd yr ha. Ma. I'll be in Gwynedd this summer. Na I fod yn Gwynedd yr ha ma. Byddai yn Gwynedd yr ha ma. The P changes. And a lot of these have to do with being in things. So, umhawis. In powers. Umhawis. And that's the best way that I can explain the nasal. It's that it's usually to do with in somewhere. But it's also possession in terms of my. So, van he, my house. Van he. Van he. T becomes an he. Vananeth. My teeth. Danev. Nanev. One is dant. You can see where dentist comes from. Not Welsh. Latin, of course. Welsh is a very Latin language. Venant. Venigder. My wrathful anger. Instead of dicter. So that's very basic, but it really is the core of what you need. So what about the third bit? The word order in Welsh is not as strict as English or French, and that's because we have mutations that allow us to shuffle words around and still know what's going on. So we know who's done what to who or what, simply by changing letters at the beginning of words or in which direction things are moving. It's kind of the skeleton of a case system, but it's not as complicated as a case system, so don't worry. Let's check it out. Perhaps the most important element of using mutations is to be able to flexify your sentences and shuffle words about at will. And the most poignant aspect of it is that the mutation shows you who or what is having things done to them. So, for example, roi gekidabo. I will give a kick to him. Kick changes because I'm kicking. I'm the one kicking. I'm acting on the kick. And this happens when people conjugate verbs a lot. I feel Loiger. He'll go to England. So Loiger changes to Loiger because it's having something done to it. It's being gone to. So when you change the shape of the sentence, it goes like soft. It has a soft mutation. So, my dyn ar y stryd. There is a man on the street. But if you shifted it around, my ar y stryd ddyn. It changes to show you that the emphasis is on the man. It's not on the street. If it was on the street, then you'd shuffle the street around. Ar y stryd, my dyn. Mae'r wallin. There is a picture on the wall. You're putting emphasis that it's on the wall, because otherwise you could say mae llun ar y wall. So when you know which ones mutate, you can really see more nuance in the Welsh language, I think, and it's one of the things that makes it very beautiful. One that I almost forgot to mention, because it's it's not always used, and I do tend to use it, and it's important, but it's not so much a change but an adding on a letter. So H is added on to the beginning of words that begin with vowels when you're showing possession of feminine possession or plural possession. For example, Ven hen wybyddod ni. So we as a plural, us, cause a H to be added to the beginning. Ven hen wybyddod ni. He, she ignored us. I hynna dyloedd clywed tioled drws. Her breath was to be heard behind the door. Ein hengel vach. There's two things happening there. Our angel produces hangel and vach. So you know it's feminine. Talking about a little girl. Ein hengel vach. Our little angel. And so a lot of times these mutations, you'll have more than one type in a single sentence like that. And it allows nuance and flexibility and able to manipulate language in a way that you can't do in English or French. And I hear people say they're a bit puffed and miffed and annoyed by the mutations, but they are the thing that allows Welsh to be more flexible than English. By constraining yourself to these, you allow yourself more freedom with their added structure. You don't have to spend time explaining, because if you're speaking to someone who knows these rules, and you know the rules, then everything is insinuated. These mutations allow you to insinuate concepts without having to explain everything. Tin clywed, you hear? Mae'n wyntog. It's windy, and gwyntog mutates, dropping the G. For those of you who wanted a video about Welsh mutations and how they work, I hope that suffices. Like I said, it was just for basic core knowledge. I didn't want to overload you, but I wanted something to which you could refer back to anytime you wanted to get the essentials. If you've made it to the end of this video and you're still watching, why not join me? I have a community tab there down below. And for everyone, diolch yn fawr iawn am wylio. Thank you very much for watching. We will see you in the next episode.